We are entering what I call the next golden era of space exploration. The first golden era was back in the 1960s, but it was unsustainable. In 1966, the NASA budget consumed 5% of the entire federal budget. It was impossible to sustain that level of spending. Now it's about 0.5%. However, now with the injection of new ideas, fresh enthusiasm from the private sector, from Silicon Valley billionaires, we have a whole new different landscape. Just recently, we had that sensational launch of the Falcon Heavy rocket financed by zero amount of taxpayers' dollars. And it shows you that the economics have changed. And now with the introduction of reusable rockets, we're not talking about opening up the heavens to perhaps a whole new economic landscape that is 10% the cost of the past. To put me in orbit around the Earth costs about $10,000 a pound. That's my weight in gold. Think of my body made out of solid gold. That's what it takes me to just to go around the Earth in near orbit. To go to the moon would cost about $100,000 a pound. To put me on Mars would cost at least $1 million a pound. That is unsustainable. And that's where the reusable rockets come in, because we're not talking about dropping the cost by a factor of 10. Instead of $10,000 a pound, SpaceX wants to bring it down to $1,000 a pound. December of 2019, NASA will send the SLS booster rocket and the Orion module around the moon on a robotic unmanned mission. Just a few years after that, the first astronauts will go back to the moon after a 50-year gap. And by late in the next decade, we hope to have a lunar orbiter that gives us a permanent presence in outer space. Not just the space station, but a lunar orbiter. And from that, we want to go all the way to Mars. And so NASA has already now looked at the blueprints made by Boeing aircraft concerning what it would take to send probes to the Mars. In fact, we may even have a traffic accident around Mars because of the fact that SpaceX, not to be outdone, they're proposing their big rocket to take us not just to the moon with the Dragon space capsule and the Falcon Heavy rocket, but a new rocket, the BFR rocket, to take us all the way to Mars, even bypassing the lunar orbiter. We also have a new vision emerging for Elon Musk of SpaceX is to create a multi-planet species. However, for Jeff Bezos of Amazon, he wants to make Earth into a park so that all the heavy industries, all the pollution goes into outer space. And Jeff Bezos wants to set an Amazon-type delivery system connecting the Earth to the moon. I once talked to Carl Sagan, and he said that because the Earth is in the middle of a shooting gallery of asteroids and comets and meteors, it's inevitable that we will be hit with a planet buster. Something like what hit the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. We need an insurance policy. Now, he was clear to say that we're not talking about moving the population of the Earth into outer space. That costs too much money. And we have problems of our own on the Earth, like global warming. We have to deal with those problems on the Earth, not fleeing in outer space. But as an insurance policy, we have to make sure that humans become a two-planet species. These are the words of Carl Sagan. And now, of course, Elon Musk, he wants to put up to a million colonists on the planet Mars, sent to Mars by his rockets, financed by a combination of public and private funding. And remember, he has the vision, the energy, and the checkbook to make many of these ideas into a reality.